Now let's take a deep breath and dive right into the 30 allegations inside of Sidney Powell's Georgia lawsuit. Allegation 1. According to a former electronic intelligence analyst, the software used by the Dominion voting machine was accessed by malicious state agents, such as from China and Iran, in order to monitor and manipulate the election. A sworn affidavit was given by a man who claimed to be part of the security detail to Venezuela's former dictator, Hugo Chavez. He alleged that the software used by Dominion was designed for the Venezuelan government with the specific purpose to rig elections without the risk of getting caught. And this allegation was also corroborated by another witness who was a former election official, and he said that he had witnessed these manipulations himself. There is a sworn affidavit from a man who says that he is the cousin of the former CEO of Smartmatic. Now, Smartmatic, if you don't remember, is the company that developed the software that was adopted by Dominion. He said that this executive received tens of millions of dollars from 2003 to 2015 from the Venezuelan government to ensure that Smartmatic technology would be implemented around the world, including in the US. According to a Princeton professor of computer science, who's also an election security expert, the vote tallies which are produced by the Dominion voting machine can be manipulated by inputting a malicious code. And this can be done, according to him, after just 7 minutes of being alone with the voting machine with a screwdriver. According to a study by the University of California at Berkeley, ballots can be spoiled and/or altered by the Dominion machine itself, because the ballot marking printer is on the same track as the mechanism to deposit already marked ballots into the attached ballot box. And so this basically means that after a voter submits their ballot into the machine can add additional marks to it. According to a sworn affidavit from a Finnish computer programmer, who is also an election security expert, the voting machines are susceptible to hacking or remote tampering because they are connected to the internet, even though they're not supposed to be. Allegedly, voting machines were able to be connected to the internet by way of laptops. And this witness said that there was evidence of remote access and remote troubleshooting conducted on these machines during the election. And according to that same voting security expert, the voting machines have activity logs that can be overwritten. This means that hackers or operators with bad intentions can tamper with the results and then erase their steps, so we can't find out what they did. Another cybersecurity expert who reviewed the Dominion software manual, he said that machine operators can change the settings on these machines to exclude certain ballots from being counted, based on how much of the ballot the person filled out. And scans of these excluded ballots were then placed in a separate folder, and the operator, if he had bad intentions, could simply delete them using Windows File Manager. That same cybersecurity expert, he said that in order to report the final vote counts, the machine operator would need to copy and paste the results folder from the machine onto a USB drive. And while he said that this was, in theory, a simple procedure, it was also a process that may be prone to errors and is very vulnerable to operators with bad intentions. There were no procedures in place in Georgia to ensure the security of the USB drives which had the vote tallies from the different precincts on them. And in fact, according to this lawsuit, in one Georgia county, 3,300 votes were found on memory sticks that were not loaded into the central vote tally system. Allegation 11. The test report and the Secretary of State certificate for these voting machines are undated, meaning that we don't know when they were actually certified. Smartmatic is currently facing a legal battle over glitches that allegedly affected the 2010 and 2013 midterm elections in the Philippines. And that suit says that it raises the question of cheating and fraud. According to one statistician, who is also a former Cornell Medical School professor, between 31,000 and 38,000 absentee ballots were returned by Republican voters but were never counted. Now, based on that same analysis, between 16,000 and 22,000 Republican voters received absentee ballots that they claim they never requested. Based on the analysis of a researcher, over 20,000 absentee or early voters cast their ballots in Georgia even though they had already moved out of the state, which is illegal according to Georgia state law. Georgia entered into an unlawful agreement with Democratic Party agencies which gutted the effectiveness of signature matching on absentee ballots. Basically, the signature matching process went from being a legal requirement to instead a broad process with room for discretion, and this was done with guidance and training materials produced by the Democratic Party. Georgia's governor illegally authorized election officials to open the outer envelopes of absentee ballots 3 weeks before the election. And that's even though Georgia law clearly prohibits opening absentee ballots prior to Election Day. According to multiple observers, the hand recount in Georgia was illegitimate due to a lack of meaningful observation. It says that during the pre-canvassing meetings, Democrat-controlled counties provided the Trump campaign with no meaningful access or opportunity to review the validity of mail-in ballots. According to multiple observers, as well as an undercover video produced by Project Veritas, during the Georgia recount, votes that were actually for President Trump were placed in a pile for Joe Biden. Allegation 20. According to another witness, during the counting process, some ballots from the no vote and Jorgensen trays were moved over into the Biden tray. According to one witness, many voters were not allowed to cancel their mail-in ballot on Election Day and vote in person. That same witness alleged that many voters tried and were denied the option to cast a provisional ballot on Election Day. Why? Well, they were told that a mail-in ballot has already been received for them, but these voters said that they weren't the ones who sent it in. Allegation 23. According to one sworn affidavit, the signatures on mail-in ballot envelopes were not verified during the recount. During the supposed hand recount, some counties didn't actually recount the ballots by hand, but instead used machines. Based on the testimony of a poll observer, who by the way had 20 years of election experience, she said that there was a batch of ballots that were suspiciously pristine. So pristine, in fact, that they didn't even have a crease on them, and they were almost exclusively for Biden. We actually did a longer segment on that in a previous episode about these suspiciously pristine ballots, and I'll throw the link to that episode in the top right corner right here for you to check out for yourself. Now, that same witness also alleged that at one precinct in Georgia, poll workers were asked to sign the chain of custody letter on Sunday, even though the machines were not actually delivered until 2 a.m. on Tuesday. And even worse, when the machines actually arrived, they were not sealed or locked, and the serial numbers that were on them did not match the documentation. Allegation number 27. One witness alleged seeing many batches of ballots that were suspiciously 100% for Biden. That same witness also alleged that the watermark on at least 3 ballots were solid gray in color instead of being transparent like they normally are, leading them to believe that the ballot was fake. Authorities in Fulton County lied when they said that vote counting was paused because of a water leak. But according to this lawsuit, there was no legitimate water leak. Now, in regards to this water leak situation, there's actually a lot more to this story, and we discussed that in yesterday's episode, and I'll throw the link to it right here in the top right corner for you to check out for yourself. And lastly, allegation number 30. One witness said that at their polling location in Georgia, after everyone was sent home, election workers remained behind and continued counting ballots without any observers present.